Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America show. That's right. We have another great program planned for you all today. And thank you so much for joining us. So today on the show, we have normally, and again, I want to emphasize this, we normally have Sandy Berger. That's right. She is our consumer electronics expert. She does a lot of great work in writing reviews, reviewing products, and just in general, knowing what you want and, getting her hands on it. Sadly, though, she has come down with a cold, and her doctor says that she will not be able to get her voice back for at least a couple of days. So she'll be joining us next month, but this month we're giving her some time off to, of course, recover. Sandy, if you're listening, hope you feel better soon. And for everyone else out there, we have computer and technology news, and I won't lie, some of it will indeed include some reviews of some products. We have a lot of news stories to go over and a lot of very interesting things to cover. But before we get started, I of course want to mention a couple of things, including computeramerica.com. That is the first, that is the most important one, because that is where you will find everything you need to know. That's right, everything you need to know about Computer America, including any articles, any videos, any products, any links that you may want. Guess what? They're probably in the show notes, again, available over on our website. And while you're there, be sure to check out the social media contest. And one last thing, be sure to check out the video portion, because not only can you listen to Computer America, but you can watch Computer America. You can see my face, you can see the articles, you can see products, you can see demonstrations. It just makes Computer America another way to be enjoyed. Okay, and so with all of that out of the way, why don't we just jump... and by the way, the prize this week for the social media contest, found over at Facebook, is, of course, a Keys to Go keyboard from Logitech. This may be one of the last times you can win that prize. Of course, you can always go out and find it and buy it, but I believe in the next week or two, we will be switching it up for another prize from Logitech. So stay tuned, and we will let you know more when we know more. So, with all of that said, why don't we jump into computer and technology news? So, computer and technology news is brought to you by Computer America, and I think our first story that we're going to do is going to be this one about Tennessee is going to give taxpayers Tennessee could give taxpayers America's fastest internet for free, but instead it will give Comcast and AT&T $45 million instead. Goodness. Right, so this is all about... Oh, one second. So this is all about instead, and this is one of the weirdest articles we've seen, but of course it's going to have a political bent because this has to deal with a municipal owned telecommunications network versus private industry. So obviously there's going to be some muddling of politics and technology here, but we'll do our best to try to avoid one way or the other. But I will say the claims made by this article are very blatantly show that consumers want one thing, and then lobbying kind of proved that legislature went the other way. So here we go. This one by, if you haven't checked out the publication, highly recommend it, motherboard.vice.com, and by Jason Kobler, and just coming out today, saying that Tennessee will literally be paying AT&T to provide a service 1,000 times slower than what Chattanooga could provide without subsidies. So, for all of you who are not in the know, Chattanooga, Tennessee has the fastest, most affordable internet in the United States. That's right. Not Silicon Valley, not New York, not Boulder, Colorado, not Austin, Texas. No, it's Chattanooga, Tennessee. And many of the rural areas surrounding it have dial-up, satellite, or no internet at all. So, Chattanooga wants to expand its network so these rural areas can have the same gigabits per second and 10 gigabits per second connections the city has. So, your neighbors get it. Rather than allow that to happen, Tennessee's legislature just voted to give Comcast and AT&T a $45 million taxpayer handout. Goodness. So, the situation is slightly convoluted and thoroughly infuriating, as the author so points out. EPB, which is a power and communications company owned by the Chattanooga government, offers 100 megabits per second. And again, 100 megabits per second is their lowest base tier. 1 gigabit per second and 10 gigs per second internet connections. Goodness. Although I think 1 gig is, generally the high end for the consumer, and then 10 gigs is for the business. But you can, of course, if you wanted, I'm sure residents could buy into that. So, a Tennessee law that was lobbied for by the telecom industry makes it illegal for EPB to expand out into the surrounding areas, which are underserved or unserved by current broadband providers. So for the last several years, EPB has been fighting to repeal the state law and even petitioned the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, which we know how that went, to try to get the law overturned. So again, to be clear here, there's a cable company out there willing to provide exceptional service. 100, 1 gig, 10 gigs per second internet connection. I think most people listening to this would kill to have that kind of speed. And again, this is government owned, taxpayer subsidized, and cheaper than what AT&T and Comcast can do. And not only that, they're doing so well, and it's going so well because, this is an established product. This isn't some kind of, maybe it won't be too well because it's government owned. No, this is going so well that they want to expand it and that people want the service even if they aren't in the city proper. But instead of letting that happen, instead of letting a good product and a good service for a good price expand to help more people, they have blocked that. And again, lobbied by the telecom industry, so AT&T, Comcast, Charter, what have you, lobbied by them to make sure that this competitor, EPB, is not allowed to expand to the surrounding areas. So the telecommunications industry is telling the government to not do something, is the bottom line of this. It's all very, very sour. So this year, the Tennessee state legislature was finally considering a bill that would have let EPB expand its coverage without providing it any special tax breaks or grants. EPB is profitable and doesn't rely on taxpayer money. Oh, it's not even there. Rather than pass that bill, Tennessee has just passed the Broadband Accessibility Act of 2017, which gives private telecom companies, in this case AT&T and Comcast, I'm sure whoever takes up the contracts to wire and provide service for these homes, $45 million of taxpayer money over the next 3 years to build internet infrastructure to rural areas. So, to be clear, and again, this is the author's statement. To be clear, EPB wanted to build out its gigabit fiber network to many of these same communities using money it has on hand or private loans at no cost to taxpayers. It would then charge individual residents for internet service, and instead, Tennessee taxpayers will give $45 million in tax breaks and grants to giant companies to get basic infrastructure built. They will then get the opportunity to pay these companies more money for worse internet than they would have received under EPB's proposal. And again, they say worse service. We don't know the full extent of what they would offer, but again, compared to what EPB is offering, which is again, strictly in Chattanooga, Tennessee, no internet company has a similar service to that, and especially for the prices I've heard. 1 gigabit per second costing $70 a month. I mean, it is insanely cheap. So, and they have a quote here saying that Tennessee taxpayers may subsidize AT&T to build DSL service. DSL. Not even fiber, not even cable, DSL to Chattanooga's neighbors rather than letting EPB expand its fiber to neighbors at no cost to taxpayers. Where Tennessee will literally be paying AT&T to provide a service 1,000 times slower than what Chattanooga could provide without subsidies. And when they say 1,000 times slower, I believe they're referring to the fact that DSL caps out at about 10 megabits per second. So, 10 megabits per second compared to 10 gigabits per second, it should be a no-brainer. But when the author was reporting on the story last year, they said that, told me that Tennessee state legislature has been repeatedly lobbied by large ISPs, saying that what we have right now is not the free market. It's regulations protecting giant corporations, which is the exact definition of crony capitalism. So, again, not really sure about the crony capitalism part, but to be clear, this does not sound right where a company that is, again, I take it back, I said paid for by the taxpayers, it's not even that. It's completely profitable by itself. It just happens to be owned by the government and, not paid through taxes at all. It is self-profitable, it's self-sustaining, and then they're refused to build it out to its neighbors simply because, hey, they, AT&T, Charter, Comcast, what have you, lobbied hard enough. So if you are in Chattanooga, Tennessee, congratulations. If you are right outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee, sucks to be you. Man, that is and again, we've covered this before. The Chattanooga, Tennessee was another place that Google Fiber had said it would go, but they had pulled out since because of all the regulations that we are talking about now that are protecting AT&T, Comcast, what have you, that are protecting those industries are the same ones that made Google Fiber pull out of the area as well, because they wanted to provide a gigabit fiber network as well. And again, Computer America, we just kind of want faster internet for everyone at a decent price. And when we hear stories like this, it's, very easy to get disheartened. So, okay. And there goes that one. And again, you can find a link to that at computeramerica.com. So I think as a little palate cleanser, we'll do something a little bit, a little bit easier. And this one is about Burger King. Burger King, that's right, the fast food chain. And I guess Burger King doesn't work too well with Google Assistant. So here we have it. This is Engadget, Mr. Timothy Sapala. And that Burger King wreaks havoc on Google Assistant with Whopper ad. Yeah, and again, we've been hearing about these ads. I mean, we just heard about one for Beauty and the Beast a couple of weeks ago that freaked a lot of people out. I mean, they purchased the Google HomeKit, and of course, built in with Google Assistant, and it started playing ads. I mean, Google's trying to work these ads in the best they can in as many places as possible because, again, don't forget, Google, ad company. But how this one didn't exactly work the way it went. So here we go. This is, again, through Burger King. So the latest ad to hijack voice-activated gizmos is from none other than the Burger King, saying that, but rather than being an accident the way Microsoft's Xbox One campaign with Aaron Paul was, the BK Lounge spot was intentionally designed to trigger Google devices running Assistant, saying as spotted by The Verge. They're saying that the Burger Smock pitchman of laments that a 15-second ad isn't nearly long enough to tell you what a Whopper is. That's when he leans in and says, "Okay, Google, I'm sorry. Let's not say all that." So, anyways, okay, blah blah blah. What is the Whopper burger? Don't want to fall into the same trick. Right. So, if you have a device running Google Assistant near your TV, the trigger phrase will activate the gadget and query the editable by anyone Wikipedia page for Burger King's signature sandwich. And as you can guess, the article mentions it's already gone none too well. None too well. So, and again, including in the article, they have the ad in question saying that the Whopper is a burger consisting of a flame-grilled patty, blah, blah, blah. Well, made with 100%, I doubt this is the actual ingredients, but rat and toenail clippings with no preservatives or fillers, topped with sliced onions, lettuce, pickles, ketchup, mayonnaise, served on a sesame seed bun. As Page read as of press time. So when this, as of 2 hours ago, that's what the Burger King Whopper Wikipedia ad says. So, and they said, well, it did until a few minutes ago, where the edit history on the page is kind of nuts at the moment, and now there seems to be a war between Wikipedia editors and BK's marketing team, saying that in our test, Home was still pulling the BK-approved marketing spiel. So maybe the device's lethargy for this sort of thing will end up being advantageous. So again, it was a little ad, prompted your Google device to query what a Whopper was, and then people decided to go out and change what a Whopper was in the Wikipedia entry, trying to get the voice assistant to mention something that was not factually correct, but hilarious nonetheless. So, and they're saying that, and the article goes on a little bit about the Beauty and the Beast Google Home, and that Google wasn't involved with the ad. Rather, a Miami-based agency did the work here, and BK signed off. So this was by an independent company, and again, Google kind of just rubber stamped this. So the spot is scheduled to run nationally during prime time on Adult Swim, Bravo, Comedy Central, E! History, and Spike. So what the Wikipedia page will read off by campaign's end is anyone's guess. If this actually goes through, seems like it's ripe for meddling and ne'er-do-well. Pretty funny though. Pretty clever by people who are realizing that it's simply pulling from the Wikipedia page. And let's face it, there's a reason that, academic institutions don't let you reference Wikipedia, is because you can make it say anything. As I'm sure Burger King is about to find out. So, now, why don't we move on to, that's, again, pretty silly story, and Burger King, best of luck to you. Why don't we do this one? And this is a win/loss. This is a win for BlackBerry and a loss for Qualcomm. And again, this is coming on the heels of yesterday's articles when we talked about Qualcomm and how they are, how they lost a legal battle with Apple earlier this year over patents and, and that kind of thing. And then they appealed and they won. So Qualcomm won out against Apple alleged that Apple was misrepresenting their material. Right, and if you do not recall yesterday's show, hey, go and check out the archives. But the short and skinny of it is that Qualcomm alleged that Apple iPhone 7s were purchased with two different chipsets, and that performed, to different degrees. And they said that Apple had software installed to make the hardware provided by Qualcomm perform at the level of the hardware provided by Intel. And they said that Qualcomm purposely hamstrung the hardware so that they wouldn't have to make any kind of designation that one contained the other or vice versa. So at any rate, Qualcomm has its own share of legal battles, and sometimes the thing about legal battles is that they don't always go your way. And here we have it. This is from Engadget, Mr. John Fingus. saying that BlackBerry made more cash from royalties than phones. As I think many patent portfolios will tell you, having the right patent and having the right amount of patents can be very, very profitable. This is something that we've seen from numerous industries. I mean, this was why the Internet of Things was so cluttered and whatnot, is that the person who sets the standards gets the patents, and the person who sets the patents gets the royalties. And here we have it, BlackBerry, again, not exactly relevant in today's marketplace, but at the same time, they were one of the originals. In fact, they were probably the original to a lot of people, the original smartphone, Palm Pilot, what have you. But they haven't been relevant, in the past couple of years. But their patents have. Fun fact. So here we go. They're saying that between the antitrust fines and lawsuits, Qualcomm's patent strategy is already running into trouble. And things just got worse, saying that the wireless chipset maker has been given a preliminary order to pay BlackBerry, of all people, pay BlackBerry $815 million in a dispute over royalty payments. So the two went into arbitration in 2017 after BlackBerry claimed that it was overpaying royalties, and it argued that a Qualcomm cap on royalties applied to a licensing deal for sales between 2010 and 2015, saying that the final order won't be available until later next month. But BlackBerry chief is quick to stress that he still sees Qualcomm as a partner, saying that Qualcomm, to no one's surprise, says it does not agree with the decision. I don't find too many people who are court ordered to pay $815 million and say, oh yeah, that's totally right. No, and however, arbitration means that there is no appeal to be found. And as such, the company could easily end up shelling out billions of dollars for its licensing practices, which allegedly include everything from demanding excessive payments, which is BlackBerry's claim, to charging patent royalties for unrelated tech, which is as Apple maintains. So Apple and BlackBerry are both suing Qualcomm over, again, the chip manufacturer. It's starting to sound like Qualcomm had its own devices it had its own techniques to kind of rein in manufacturers of smartphones, tablets, what have you. Because again, if you know anything about Qualcomm, they are in everything. I mean, the Snapdragon processor was pretty unanimous when it came to, smartphones around the industry. A lot of tablets, a lot of, just even dumb phones or feature phones as they're called. I mean, Qualcomm was in everything. And it seems like they kind of did a few things not too legit to make sure that they stayed in all those devices. And again, it sounded like, non-competition, over, charging too much for royalties, that kind of thing. So they said that, and of course, to call this a win for BlackBerry would be an understatement, saying that while the Canadian tech company is slowly turning around its fortunes after getting out of phone design, it made a total of $286 million in revenue last quarter. Honestly, that's more than I thought they would. $286 million in a quarter. That's it's still $1 billion a year. That's not bad. Good for you, BlackBerry. But yeah, they said that with $815 million could cover most of the money it makes in a year. And although the payout is ultimately stems from a failure to compete in the smartphone industry, it gives BlackBerry a huge amount of breathing room as it shifts its focus towards automotive technology and corporate software. There you have it. So, yeah, this is something similar that we saw with, like the likes of Echo, who pulled out of the Vizio TV deal. These companies, I mean, running a company, trying to be agile and shift from product to product. Obviously, Echo is spreading itself a little thin, but BlackBerry, they just have not been competitive. And like they've said, they have shifted away from smartphones because they realize they cannot be competitive for whatever reason. And, having $815 million in the bank gives you a lot of, confidence that the company is going to at least have enough money to stay open until it hopefully makes that transition fully. So BlackBerry, oh, and by the way, if you own stock in BlackBerry, I don't know anyone in the world who does, because again, BlackBerry, kind of think of them as almost defunct at this point. Research in Motion, what have you. Like, I know Research in Motion has a pretty good portfolio. Actually, I think BlackBerry was sold away from Research. But at any rate, their stock jumped 15% overnight from the news of this massive win. So there you have it. BlackBerry, back from the ashes, but not exactly going to get back into the smartphone market. Whew, Qualcomm, what's going on? I don't know. We'll find out. Okay, so there's that one. And let's see. Which one would be another one? We only have about 5 more minutes. Okay, here's one that, we were going to cover yesterday, but we couldn't get to. And this is for everyone out there who owns a Roku. And, we've had Roku on the show before, and I don't believe they had this policy in place then. But this is new. This is the changing market of the smart television market. And they're saying that Roku will now eavesdrop on your shows to serve up ads. That's right. Wherein enhance your TV experience means sell your data to advertisers. And again, anyone out there who's bought a Vizio TV, anyone out there who's bought a smart TV, anytime in the past couple of years, this is another way that companies are finding ways to profit off of their products. Because selling the product is one thing. And let's face it, sometimes selling a TV for a little bit of money really doesn't earn you that much, and it doesn't really give you much to grow on. But if you can But if you can sell it with smart TV capabilities, think Vizio and, having Netflix there and having, internet radio on your television and, a web browser on your television, things like that. By them being a smart device, they can then send data back to the servers. And again, the servers are usually owned by the person who you purchased the television from, be it Sony, Vizio, what have you. And they then take your data. They're supposed to anonymize it. They probably do. I have no way of knowing that they actually do, but they are under orders that any data collected is stripped of any identifying information, even though we know that's not completely possible. But anyways, they take it, they anonymize your data, be it how often you watch, what you watch, when you watch it, where you watch it, how you watch it, when you pause it, when you play it, blah, 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 blah. They take all of that and they roll it up into massive chunks of data, and then they take that data and they sell it to advertising firms, where advertising firms then say, these are the viewing habits, this is the way that people are watching it, this is, the audience that we are appealing to, this is, how many homes are actually watching this. They can better, again, quote unquote, enhance your TV experience, as the article points out, but really that means better target you for advertising. And of course, knowing your habits. This turns a static, here's $500, give me a TV. This turns that simple transaction where maybe they make, $100, $150, $200, whatever the profit margin is. Instead of that little profit margin, for the next 3 to 5 years, however long you own that TV, they are now mining your data, and every quarter or so, or whenever they feel like it, they can then take your data, bundle it with the millions of others who bought their TVs, and sell that again. So, 1 million small transactions turns into 1 million data points, which turns into a very decent chunk of data, which can then be sold to advertisers or, anyone else in the industry who wants to pay the money. And yeah, it's very, very valuable to a lot of different industries. And at the same time, it's, again, another way that they can profit and, grow as a company. So Roku has jumped on board, saying that Roku fans have another treat this week aside from getting Sling TV's cloud DVR functionality. Oh my goodness, we're going to have to jump back into this when we get back with, when we get back with computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. Music means we have to take a break, but we'll be right back. And again, be sure to check out the news portion, the Facebook contest that we are running over at facebook.com/Computer America. So we'll be right back with more computer and technology news right after this.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. So for anyone just joining us, welcome in, as we are doing a full show of computer and technology news because Sandy Berger is again out, unfortunately, with a cold, and she will be joining us next month. But in the meantime, we are doing a bunch of really, really interesting news stories. And we were just about to jump into this one about Roku and how it will now monitor your watching habits and, of course, sell them and what have you. So, of course, this is, fortunately, an opt-in. So, assuming you opt in, as the article continues, the latest software version, 7.6, will use the automatic content recognition to listen to what broadcast programming you're watching and suggest other stuff to watch based on that as a way to enhance your couch potato sessions. So they have a quote here saying, quote, additionally, viewing options may include the ability to watch from the beginning, watch more episodes of the same show, and or view suggestions for similar entertainment available to stream. And again, this is the section in the Roku TV's reads. So, the way Roku describes it, it sounds pretty innocent until you look further and discover that while you can disable the function, if you aren't cool with it, viewing information collected prior to the feature being turned off won't be purged. So, yeah, they get to keep everything about you, until you turn it off, and then even after you turn it off, they won't continue to collect, but hey, what they have, finders keepers. So, like pretty much every other online-based service, any data collected during the time period is Roku's property and could be sold to the highest bidder at the drop of a hat. And here we have the Roku privacy policy, and it reads that if you choose to enable the feature called More Ways to Watch on your Roku TV, then in addition to viewing information and other information that Roku collects from your Roku TV, they're saying that Roku may also collect viewing information using ACR. And again, ACR being the automatic content recognition, so it listens and matches it to what you're watching. So Roku uses ACR to help Roku identify the networks. A lot of Roku in this. To help identify the networks, channels, and programs that you watch and when you watch them via your Roku's TV antenna or devices connected to your Roku TV. And based on this information, we may recommend personalized content to serve personalized ads to you and measure viewership of ads and programming. So we may supplement this viewing history with other demographic data we learn about you, and we may also share viewing data derived from ACR with third parties such as measurement providers, blah, 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 blah. They're saying that in ways that do not personally identify you directly. So again, like I said, they anonymize it. They make sure it's not personally identifiable. But let's face it, someone coming from this area of the world, using this IP address from this cable provider, watching Family Guy, who at 1 o'clock in the morning and, does this and this. There's always enough data points, I think, to point the finger at a probable person. But regardless, they do their best to anonymize it. So they're saying TechCrunch reports that this data collection only happens during use. And of course, and since ACR isn't a microphone, it won't be listening to you when it's powered off. And again, the only way any of this works is if you opt in. That's the thing, though. It's if you'd rather it not happen, it's as simple as not agreeing to it when it's prompted. So it sounds like, again, it's going to be a pop-up, and it's going to ask something along the lines of, like, it's not going to say, would you like us to collect data about you, and so that we could sell it. Instead, it's going to be something along the lines of, would you like to use the enhanced viewing features, or what did they call it? They called it the more ways to watch. It's going to be a pop-up and saying, would you like to turn on more ways to watch on your Roku TV? And again, more ways to watch sounds very, innocent, benign, nothing. And I think a lot of people are going to agree to it, are going to opt in. And they're saying that Vizio, on the other hand, came under fire for making its data collection opt-out versus opt-in, which is what I've been saying. If you bought Vizio in the last couple of years, you are already in the, in this kind of manner. So aside from that, the rest of the patch notes sound fairly standard. And now there's a favorite channels list and custom input naming, so you don't have to remember what's plugged into HDMI 3. Thank goodness. And of course, they've reached out to Roku for additional information beyond what's in its privacy policy. But at the same time, if you update your Roku and you see that, and if you agree with it, go for it, by all means. But if you find yourself saying, I'm not the biggest fan of my data being collected and sold en masse, then yeah, you might want to opt out. Of course, I say that, and it's not that simple, because a lot of the features that come with opting in or opting out, they're very convenient. They're very cool. They lead to a lot of, it's kind of like cookies in your browser. You don't realize, we talk about cookies all the time and how they can be used to identify you, and how they track you on your internet. They leave a little breadcrumb about where you've been, where you go, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, try deleting your cookies. And by the way, you should do that anyways every once in a while. But try deleting your cookies and see how annoying it is to re-log into every single session on your browser. Every account, everything. It's, I just did it recently, and quite annoying. There's a number of websites I did not remember the password for. So, yep. I mean, it's, things like this, they're going to give you, like, if you enjoy Netflix as a service, Netflix does this to an extreme. Not to put Netflix on blast here, but Netflix does this to an extreme where every single thing you do on Netflix, between how you rate shows, how you navigate the menus, how you watch, what you watch, when you watch it, do you watch a lot at a time? Do you watch the first episode, not the second, but you do watch the third? They monitor so much that they then take that data and they use it in-house. So they make, they make all these shows that are based on your viewing habits. And, that's one of the reasons why Netflix shows are so highly reviewed, is because, hey, they know what people like. Thanks to the data collection that is Netflix, they know what you like, and they know what shows are going to be liked and how well they're received before they even release them. So, I mean, a lot of cool features come out of data collection, but at the same time, I understand why people are a little nervous about the practice in general. So, now, why don't we go on from that to... All right, I should really get into this one, and this one is, of course, very, very important. And this may get a little bit dry. I apologize, but it's something that the internet is just ablaze with, and I would be remiss if I didn't cover this. So if you look on the video portion, you're going to see, 40 or so. I don't know. I didn't count them. 40 or so different logos, names of companies that have all signed on to this policy, and they are lobbying to keep net neutrality rules. And again, these are rules that the current chairman of the FCC has said that they stifle innovation, they are a hindrance, and should be repealed immediately. And here we have 40 companies, many of which that are feeling like they have to stand up and take action. So this is where, again, Ars Technica, John Brodkin, saying that Ajit Pai, again, the FCC chairman, can't convince websites that killing net neutrality is a good idea. So representatives for Amazon, Google, Facebook, Netflix, and more lobby to keep net neutrality rules. And yeah, if you kept count, that's a lot of pressure that these kind of companies can put on them. So here we have it, saying that the plan to eliminate net neutrality rules and replace them with voluntary commitments is not winning over lobbyists for major internet companies. And yeah, like that was the FCC solution, was that if you want to be if you want to be in compliance with net neutrality, that is your decision, and you can be that way, but it should not be the place of the FCC to enforce net neutrality. That was where they landed on it. And again, I don't know any company out there who would in their right mind go, well, we get the moral high ground, but we have to make less money, so we're gonna no. If it's not enforceable, then they're not going to comply by any means. So they're saying that the Federal Communications Commission chairman and his staff met yesterday with the Internet Association, which is a trade group whose members include Amazon, Dropbox, eBay, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal, Reddit, Spotify, Twitter, and more. About 30 other web companies, saying that the meeting occurred about a week after Pai reportedly met with broadband industry lobby groups to discuss his plans for eliminating net neutrality rules. So they're saying that the Internet Association CEO, Michael Beckerman, and General Counsel attended the meeting with Pai and his staff, telling the chair that he should keep the existing net neutrality rules. And yeah, this is, they have a quote here saying why they believe this should be the case, saying that Internet Association, AI continues its vigorous support for the FCC's Open Internet Order, which is a vital component to the free and open internet, saying that the internet industry is uniform in its belief that the net neutrality preserves the consumer experience, competition, and innovation online. In other words, existing net neutrality rules should be enforced and kept intact. Where the Open Internet Order is working well and has been upheld by the DC Circuit panel, further, the Internet Association preliminary economic research suggests that the Open Internet Order did not have a negative impact on broadband internet access service. Goodness. So yeah, they say that, they're saying that preserve ban on paid priority. So yeah, this is the whole idea that, this is the foundation of paid priority and how the open internet prevents such a thing. So for those of you who don't know, this whole thing about net neutrality is that if you register a website, a domain, and what have you, you are, and let's say you are competing directly with, you're a one-man operation and you are competing directly with eBay. You have a big old garage and you are going to compete directly with eBay. But then eBay says, well, we're going to pay for priority on Comcast, we're going to pay for priority on Charter and AT&T. So that if someone Googles it, or if someone, not even someone Googles it. So if someone uses those services and uses eBay with those providers, you get a priority experience. You get faster web page loading. You get, maybe some kind of data-free, experience towards your data cap that is undoubtedly coming. You get all these kind of perks that a one-man eBay competitor operation can't afford none of those. So then the consumer has to say, do I want to waste my data on this service that does not have all these perks and is slower, or do I want to just use, regular old eBay? It's a tiered system, and right now we have the opposite of that. right now it's open and free. It's, you start up a website, your packets, everything is handled exactly the same by all of your internet providers across the board. There's no special clarification, and, the best service wins. The other way, the internet providers could indeed make deals and cut deals with certain providers. And again, I use eBay, but maybe a more apt description would be things like YouTube or Netflix. Maybe AT&T makes a deal with YouTube, doesn't cut a deal with Netflix, and it hamstrings Netflix and then prioritizes YouTube. And obviously, YouTube's going to look like a better service because they get a priority over Netflix. Things like that cost millions of dollars, and again, anti-competitive in the long run. So, Pi hasn't made his plan public, and the filing does not say whether Pi believed that the Internet Association on his plan. But the group was well aware of the press reports summarizing the key parts of the plan, saying that the chairman reportedly wants to eliminate the common carrier classification of ISPs and shift net neutrality enforcement to the Federal Trade Commission. Saying that, but instead of having actual net neutrality rules, he wants companies to agree to basic net neutrality principles in their terms of service. Which again, you can change the terms of service at any point. If you've ever read one of those things, it starts with, hey, we hold complete right to change these without warning you to anything we want to say. Not the best thing in the world. And also, he says that he wants to shift the enforcement to the FTC. That is another grab for those who do not know. The FTC can kind of make rules, but they can't enforce rules. That's up to the FCC and other organizations. The FTC the Federal Trade Commission has no money, no manpower, no authority to take anyone to task for breaking any of the rules that are set forward. So when they say that they have enforcement, they shift enforcement to the FTC. That's like saying we're going to shift it to someone who has no power to enforce. So that does nothing as well. And this Ars Technica is saying that we explained in an article yesterday how this voluntary system would work and why it would be far less strict than the current system. So, the Internet Association told Pi that net neutrality rules should be ex ante and enforced by the expert agency, namely the FCC and not the FTC. Saying that the group also said that it wants to preserve the ban on internet providers charging companies for prioritized access, and the rule should apply both to home and mobile internet services. So, and one last point, we're almost done with this, I promise. One last point saying that interconnection should not be used as a choke point to artificially slow traffic or extract unreasonable tolls from over-the-top providers. Saying that based on early reports, it doesn't appear Pi's plan would address payments for direct network connections between web companies and the ISP. Saying that the current FCC system allows such payment, but creates a complaint system designed to stop ISPs from making unjust or unreasonable demands. And this helped prevent situations like the Netflix slowdowns on major ISPs that happened before the net neutrality rules were implemented in 2015. That was the most damning evidence for the for allowing the ISPs free reign, was the whole idea of the Netflix slowdown, where Netflix, don't get me wrong, they have since spent millions of dollars, working on web traffic and packet, packet, not containment, but the idea that they use way too much data. And it's a fact. Netflix uses a lot of data. They were using compression techniques. There we go. They're using crappy compression techniques, and they were taking up like 30% of the entire internet's bandwidth to provide their service. And in response to that, ISPs were getting huffy that Netflix could do such a thing and not pay extra, because they were paying, they were getting a lot, and they had their own deals. But then every individual service provider who was delivering their product said, hey, wait, you're taking up so much. you have to pay more because you are using more. And yeah, they artificially slowed down Netflix. They brought Netflix to a crawl and made the service unusable for a lot of their user base. Which again, when it happened, I was totally against all that kind of crap. The idea that Netflix was pushing this kind of traffic onto the providers is not true. It was simply their customers, the ISP's customers, were the ones asking for Netflix traffic, and they were getting it. So, again, Netflix has done a lot in the meantime to minimize their footprint. They, again, have worked on huge improvements in the compression technology. And yeah, things have kind of settled out there, but it shows that ISPs will see an area where they can get a foothold, where they can flex their muscle, and they'll probably do it. And they'll probably do it to an extent that makes them, honestly, quite a bit of money. So these rules, can't say that. We'll see what Pi does, because again, Pi, he went in pretty much saying that ISPs are in a stranglehold. They're crying for help, and that the FCC is too big, and we need to pull everything back. That is the opposite of what we've been fighting for with the open internet, with net neutrality for the past couple of years, and yeah, pretty much a 180 in this current administration. So we'll see what happens. But if these kinds of companies, this is not a grassroots movement. This is, 40 different companies who combined hundreds of billions of dollars in commerce, and they have to say that, hey, this would be bad for all of our businesses. That's going to make some kind of an impact, we hope. So yeah, we'll see in a couple weeks what really happens with these rulings. So, okay, there's that one, and FCC still on the ropes, but hey, got to cover it, got to pay attention, always important. So, this next article, one of the last ones we'll do today, and this one's actually kind of cool. This one from Popular Science, kind of cool, kind of creepy, but a neural network. So think artificial intelligence, what have you. Oh, by the way, just learned that we are in the process of booking here in the next couple of weeks IBM's Watson at the Masters. So, Watson, been in the news a lot lately. IBM's artificial intelligence. And yeah, IBM at the Masters saying, the Masters golf tournament, and we'll be talking about its role there, what it did, how it did it, and all that good stuff. So I'll let you know the exact date of that, but it won't be for a few more weeks. But yeah, just remember. But a neural network helped researchers crack smartphone pins using built-in motion sensors. PIN number, so personal identification number. So pins using built-in motion sensors. So a simple exploit could guess a 4-digit security code with surprising accuracy. And, we're going to gloss over this one pretty quickly, but at the same time, this is pretty cool, saying that modern smartphones have a wealth of sensors inside, including accelerometers and gyroscopes. So this is the kind of thing that, you shake your phone, it tells you that, or, you turn on Snapchat and you take that one filter, it tells you your current speed. Accelerometers and gyroscopes help a lot of different functions in your smartphone. But they're saying that they also present a potential way for hackers to figure out your 4-digit PIN. And they're saying that computer scientists from Newcastle University in the United Kingdom found that by monitoring sensors like the phone's accelerometer, gyroscope, and magnetometer, hopefully I got that right, which detect things like a device's motion and orientation, they were able to figure out a user's PIN number 74% of the time. 74% of the time on just the first guess. 74%. 3 out of 4 times they were able to get on the first time. and the number rose to 94% by the third try. And those of you who do not know about PIN numbers, you get 10 tries, and then you're done, and you're locked out, the device is locked, and it's a big headache to get it unlocked. But 3 tries completely within the error of tolerance. So it sounds like they can open up 19 out of 20 phones using this technique. So they're saying that the entry point for the attack to detect the PIN was a JavaScript exploit. Oh, JavaScript. Never ceases to amaze. Saying that it's delivered through the browser on the phone, and all smartphone users has to do was click on a link that had malicious software that would then detect the phone sensors in the background. And they're saying that, you don't want to, for example, an insurance company to know if you're an active user or you're a lazy person. So, they're talking about, of course, the sensors and how important they are to keep private, because again, the data that everyone loves to collect, you definitely don't want, everyone and anyone to have access to where you go, how much you move, when you move, what you do with your phone, that kind of thing. It's very private data. So they're saying that, the kinds of sensors that the team is studying are in a multitude of places, from smartphones to smart cities, saying that, and if these sensors are not managed securely and properly, they can reveal basically everything about you. I bet. And they're saying that the team was not the first to show that sensors are a vulnerability, where an associate professor at the University of Michigan has also demonstrated that the accelerometers in devices are a path to manipulate them, that according to the New York Times last month. So they're saying that sensors, as ubiquitous as they've become, as common as they've become, they are still a vulnerability, and you need to, protect them. Again, common sense approach to security is going to go a long way here. Don't click on links you don't know. Don't open email attachments, things like that. But also, hey, keep an eye out. So and also keep your device up to date. Always keep it as up to date as humanly possible. So yeah, I don't think we have time. We have some other articles we did not get to, including Alabama. That's right. This is one of the headline ones, but Alabama is testing a way of filing your taxes by taking a selfie. And as the author notes, you're probably helping build a facial recognition database. But yeah, Alabama wants you to take a selfie to file your taxes. They're saying that Garmin's new Vivo Sport tracking tracks reps and stress. And also, they're saying that Microsoft is future-proofing Xbox for multi-generational devices. So yeah, there's these articles and more. You can check them all out at computeramerica.com. And if you missed any part of the show, feel free to head on back to computeramerica.com, where, of course, you can find anything and everything about the program, including show notes, including the video portion, audio portion, what have you, any and everything completely possible to find out. So, tomorrow on the show, try to get this out of the way. Tomorrow on the show, I believe we have on, if I'm being right here, yes, we have Ooma. You know them, Ooma. They make a voice over IP phone solution that's just like a landline, and they're on to talk about their latest products and services. We've had them on the show a number of times. We use their product here at Computer America. We use them for, our phone system, and they have a lot of great features. So tune in tomorrow. It may be just the thing you need to switch over from traditional phone line, if you're still using one. Or maybe if you have a cell phone, getting a traditional phone line through Ooma could be very helpful. And then, of course, on Friday, Ralph Bond, he's going to join us once again. Always fun. And, yep, going to be here Friday. Same time, same place, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. So for everyone out there, I want to say thank you so much for tuning into Computer America. And again, check out facebook.com/Computer America and enter our contest. That's right. It will be running up until Friday on the show, where we will be reading the winner's name live on the air here. And hey, we could be reading your name. So until then, everyone, have a great day. And hey, We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Ten seconds.